Good evening. I call to order this regular meeting of the Verona Township Council for Monday, August 19th. I'm sorry, August 18th. Madam Clerk, would you please read the Open Public Meetings Act compliance? And Madam Acting Clerk, would you please read the Open Public Meetings Act compliance?
The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied with respect to this meeting of the Township Council. The meeting time and date were included in the public meeting notice, along with the public internet link and telephone call-in information. Said notice and the meeting agenda was posted in the municipal building and sent to the official newspapers of the township, the Verona Cedar Grove Times, and the Star Ledger at least 48 hours preceding the start time of this meeting. The agenda and public handouts can be viewed online at www.veronanj.org/council meetings. A public comment period will be held in the order it is listed and on the meeting agenda, and instructions on how to comment will be provided at the appropriate time.
Thank you. Would you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Holland.
Here.
Councilwoman McGrath.
Here.
Councilman Roman.
Here.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy.
Present.
Mayor Tamburo.
Here.
Mayor also present this evening is Township Attorney Brian Aloya, Township Manager Kevin O'Sullivan, Deputy Township Manager Michael Kraus, and myself, Assistant to the Municipal Clerk Jessica Rodriguez.
Thank you. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Recently, H.B. Whitehorn Middle School teacher Christine Gasselberti died, leaving a big loss for the Verona community. As a teacher for 20 years, she had a big impact on students, and a lot that I've seen students and parents alike are sharing how much they miss her. So if we could please have a moment of silence in honor of her 20-year career and think of her family at this time. Thank you. For the mayor's report this evening, just want to thank the Verona Police Department, Verona Fire Department, our architect, and our township administration for their participation in what turned out to be a 4.5-hour long meeting related to the emergency services building, the proposed building. I appreciate all the work that was put into that, the preparation, willingness to answer questions, and the detail that's provided. I also just did want to comment on one thing with all of the attendees and everybody participating, especially on the police side. It was very nice to see a very articulate and future for the Verona Police Department, and that was quite evident that there are a lot of upcoming leaders who really know their craft, that can communicate, and are true professionals. And I've seen it on the road with them, working with them, and now it's great to see in the public meetings as well. So thank you to everybody for that. I had the opportunity to attend the screening for Happy Gilmore 2. It was nice that we all got to see the town hall in there. I hope that we'll have more filming opportunities in town with the revenue source of the town school board, with the Netflix studios moving into the southern part of the state, on Milford base. It'd be great to see those opportunities as we go forward. I invite everybody to attend our September 11th commemoration ceremony at the memorial on September 11th at 8:45 in the morning. Hope to see everybody there. And finally, school will be open in 2 short weeks. The teachers report back next week. Our new teachers start on this week from today. So do want to wish a happy school year to all of our students and our staff and our families. And just remember that there'll be more walkers and more traffic, and we'll go out and just be safe. I did not see Mr. Coltrane today, so I will move right into the township manager.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Coulter did email me prior, just later this afternoon, indicating that he would not be able to make the meeting tonight, but he will be at the September meeting. I will run through the items in my report, and as usual, I'm happy to answer more specific questions from the council at the conclusion of my report. Regarding the pool, we are approaching the end of the pool season. We anticipate having a discussion on the pool financials in greater detail in September. At that same time, we expect to be closing the pool contract. For the pool renovations, there's some work that needs to be completed at the conclusion of the pool season, so that's being scheduled now. With the wastewater infrastructure, we're continuing to move forward with a number of the projects we have underway. That includes the primary clarifier pump station project, which is progressing as scheduled. We are expecting material deliveries in September, and project schedule should accelerate in the coming months, and project is expected to be substantially completed by the end of the year. Additionally, the UV disinfection system and the microscreen projects are 60% through design drawings, and we are continuing to work with the consultant on those design drawings. Additionally, the wastewater staff continues to implement necessary improvements and maintenance on existing equipment. Again, that is intended to keep us in line with ongoing studies for upcoming nitrate limits at the wastewater plant. That will be subject to some ongoing discussion in coming months. For our drinking water projects, we had the final walkthrough with the DEP on the Lynn Drive well. The project turned up and running. We have just minor punch list items that have been worked through with the contractor, the state, and the township. The Fairview Avenue well project is being scheduled for a pre-construction meeting. We actually just did receive earlier today an authorization to award from the state. So as far as the state is concerned, we are good to move forward with pre-construction meetings and construction schedule at the Fairview Avenue well. Regarding the Claridge Drive pump station, we are expecting roadway excavation for the water main interconnection to be scheduled the week of September 22nd. We're going to be scheduling notices to be distributed accordingly. The Linden Avenue projects, for a number of our road projects, are continuing to move forward. Linden Avenue has been submitted to the state. We're awaiting comments from the state, and then that will be out to bid. And then Dodd Terrace, Afterglow Way, and Summit Road are all under design. And I've been highlighting the complete and green streets policy in my report in previous months. I anticipate bringing that to the council for discussion at the September 9th meeting. And we still currently await responses from our 2025 NJDOT grant applications. Regarding some of our recreation projects, Everett Field is underway. Site clearing and tree removal is ongoing. The contractor is anticipating to begin prepping the site for installation of the retaining walls within the next 1 to 2 weeks. And that project is continuing to move forward, and it has just started, but it is still on schedule. The BBSL and BBSL architect is looking to schedule a presentation at an upcoming meeting for a presentation of the field house donation. We're going to looking to schedule that likely at our September meeting. Just a quick presentation from BBSL and their architect. In Shade Tree, we've continued to work with the tree contractor and the Shade Tree Commission. We are also working with the grant writing consultant for submitting a couple of grant applications in conjunction with our community forestry management plan and tree inventory and some other larger tree initiatives. We are going to be submitting applications in the coming week, and for the one project, and then another application probably 2 to 4 weeks out will be submitted. An update on the council chambers technology. The equipment has been ordered for the upgrades to the AVA system. We are tentatively scheduled for an installation starting on November 12th. That will be shortly after the November council meeting. It will allow for a full 1 week for installation, which is they're anticipating 4 to 5 days for installation. Will leave plenty of time for scheduling, training, and anticipation and ahead of the December 1st meeting. We continue to hold meetings with the contractor for the Greenfield Avenue Streetscape project. The stakeholder involvement meetings will kick off on September 12th. And then they will grow from each of those chairs in the stakeholder meetings to bring them back to their committees as a whole. And then public involvement will follow thereafter. Just a couple updates on all the building and facility needs. For the Verona Community Center Annex and Communication Building, the roof repairs are under design and they're scheduled to be out to bid by approximately September, October. In the Civic Center, flagpole refurbishment is underway. This should be completed within the next 1 to 1.5 weeks. The town hall windows and repointing, it is substantially, it's nearly complete. There's some minor items that still remain at the completion of the project, which includes just replacement of spot lintels, repainting of the emergency stairwell, and some minor punch list items, and replacing the trim work on 2 of the main entrances. We are expecting completion in September. A number of the environmental needs in town hall are complete. That includes the mold remediation, the lead paint abatement, replacement of the HVAC air handler, repainting of the police department. The HVAC duct cleaning is scheduled, and there are some other minor miscellaneous items, but that work is proceeding and it is nearly complete, and the building is nearly ready for return to occupancy. Related to that, there is on the agenda tonight a resolution for a lease for temporary trailers for the police. It is on the agenda for approval. It will be temporary lockers, which will serve as locker rooms for the police department upon their return. And then the facilities audit is also ongoing. The scanning of all the facilities is complete, and an assessment is being prepared at this time for all the facilities, inclusive of all the buildings and the pool, which is previously noted as not being included, but it is on the facilities audit. We are also moving forward with our community services projects. We have our age-friendly audit and action plan. We did hold a kickoff meeting with NJ Future a week and a half ago. The stakeholder kickoff meeting is being scheduled for next week. And then we also have our Inclusive Healthy Communities grant, which we are also proceeding with that with the Community Services Department. Having said that, I know we have later on the agenda the Emergency Services Building schedule. I'll hold my comments on the board until that point of the meeting. Otherwise, I'm happy to answer any questions from the council.
One item on the police trailer lease, just asking us to brought it up. We're able to submit that to the insurance fund for reimbursements. Has that been discussed with the JIF?
We have discussed it with the JIF. We have submitted it to the JIF. We don't have our final response on it yet, but we have submitted all the expenses to date to the JIF. We've received our first reimbursement. We hope to receive the second reimbursement within the next 1 to 2 weeks. On that one, we have not directly heard back from them yet.
Any questions?
So just one comment. I know that looking at the site clearing, I'm just going to express my upset with how many trees were removed. I just think that in some way, some of the trees along Westview could have been saved. There were a couple smaller oak trees that weren't in the way, and the 2 large trees on Bloomfield Avenue that were planted years ago. I think even one in the center, we talk about moving forward with projects and we'll try to save more trees. And I was just, when I saw the place cleared, I couldn't believe it. So again, in the future, I know the trees were some of them were marked, but a lot more were taken down than what were marked by code. That's it. Thank you.
Just in response to that, we did have a site meeting with both contractor, engineer, and with the township arborist, in which we relied upon the arborist to tell us if the trees were able to withstand either the disturbance or the change of grades or the scheduled construction. The trees that were removed were directly consulted with the arborist and only taken down after the arborist said that they did not have a viable opportunity to survive the construction. The ones towards Bloomfield Avenue, those were trees that were growing significantly already into the sidewalk spaces, and there was an inability to fit new sidewalks without disturbing and greatly impacting the root system on those trees. So those trees would have either ruined or destroyed or cracked the brand new sidewalks, or would have failed and died in the 12 to 24 month period based upon the arborist's recommendations.
Councilwoman Brown?
Thank you. So on the pool finances, since we're only meeting once in September, correct? Is that conversation, since we're meeting on September 8th, is it likely we're gonna have that conversation on the 8th, or more likely the first meeting in October?
The revenue coming into the pool will have a clear picture on the finances for the revenue. The final estimated cost of the expenses of running the pool, we'll still have one payroll to process.
Yeah.
We can make a pretty good estimate, so I think there's an opportunity to have a discussion in September.
Okay.
And prepare us for some final discussions and recommendations in October. But I think we should have a pretty good idea of where the budget's gonna fall.
Okay. On the community forestry plan, I know you know this, but for the council's edification, we do need a new forestry plan to be complete by the end of the year, or else there are ramifications to having it undone for insurance reasons. So I know you're working with Shade Tree towards that, but it's September, so
Sure.
yeah.
Sure. We actually had a call with Ms. Thomas this afternoon. We are submitting our grant application for that community forestry management plan and the tree inventory.
Okay.
The plan is expiring at the end of this year. The inventory is expiring next year. There's a grant that could potentially fund the entirety of that work. We're doing both projects. And we've spoken with the DEP about submitting the application somewhat in parallel with the work going on. So the contractor that we're looking to move forward with is aware of the December 31st deadline and will complete the project in that time.
Okay, great. And for the public's edification, it is like a new and improved forestry plan, so it'll look different than previous plans that we've had because the standards have been upgraded. During our emergency services building conversation, there was a comment made that there's no working AC in our firehouse building meeting room. So if you could update the council on the status of that AC, they said it was 84 degrees in a room and it's impossible to meet there. And so I know that perked my interest. I'm sure I should with the rest of the council. So those were my follow-ups for now. There's some things in my emails that I'll follow up with you as well about recreation programming.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Holland?
Thank you. I had a couple of questions about your report. For the wastewater treatment plant infrastructure, item C, you have reference to execution by the township. That requires a vote of the township council, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so are we anticipating that for the September agenda?
We just received final confirmation from the DEP. I just received an email from the DEP this afternoon. I was intending to circulate that to the council. If there's a comfort level in putting a resolution for action in the September meeting, then that would be my recommendation. It's consistent with previous discussions.
And for whenever that moves forward, I think it's going to be really important to have detailed education pieces for the community, Because I think it's a complicated issue involving significant utility infrastructure that the residents of the community are going to need to understand what is, being voted upon, and also what the program is, what the plan is going forward, right? So you reference like the project schedule moving forward. I think that'll need to be outlined for the community. So if there's an opportunity to do that, I would very much appreciate that.
Sure. We've actually, we've been having discussions with, the high school student who's interning this summer. She is, involved as a junior BEC member. She has an interest in helping provide some public information pieces with our public information officer. So she is working on some presentation materials, both for investments and work that's going into the wastewater plant and into the drinking water infrastructure. So we will be pushing out some information to the public in coordination with our public information officer and this intern assistant.
Okay, that's great. And I'm glad that you're using the intern resource for that. Regarding the pool utility, I was struggling to understand the item B, the shared services agreement. Can you walk us through that a little bit in a little bit more detail?
Sure. There's been discussions regarding the memberships that are provided to the fire and rescue squads. There are the free memberships that are afforded to those members in good standing. What we've assessed this year is the value of those memberships, and we've offset the value of those memberships with the services that they provided in response, which is a significant number of training events to all of the pool staff, in addition to resources and supplies for the pool. There is a value of approximately $25,000 in free services in response. The value in the training and the supplies being provided is approximately $20,000. So there's a difference of an estimated gap of $5,000. What we are looking to draft is a shared service agreement where the township and the pool continue to receive the benefits of the training and the supplies, and fire and rescue continue to receive the benefits of the free memberships, with the balancing coming through a funding mechanism from the township. There is currently a sponsorship commitment, which is for $10,000, which would cover that gap in the current budget year. It would be taken into a trust, which we would need to establish, and that could be the beginning of balancing future budgets or future agreements in future calendar years. So it would also go towards offsetting that gap in 2026 and beyond. And if it can't be funded through this trust, then it would have to be funded through a line item in the budget.
Okay, so the expectation is there's a shared services agreement where there's a gap between the services provided and the cost of the free memberships that would be borne by the township. But you're saying that you've gotten a sponsorship commitment that would cover that for 2025, potentially 2026, and that you would be establishing this trust going forward to kind of cover that gap.
Correct.
Okay, that was helpful because I was struggling to follow exactly what that was in this report. I think it would be really helpful, and I anticipate that you will get questions from the rec committee about how you're quantifying the value of the services being provided at $20,000 and how that benchmarks against the services that would be available through other means. Because I believe that the rec committee perhaps did do some of that comparison study. And so I'm just trying to tell you, I anticipate that you'll get those requests from that committee. So if we have that information handy, that should be available to them. My last question, and it wasn't on your report, was just about the Franklin Street Bridge. I know that and you may not have the answer readily available, but I just wanted to make the comment that with schools starting, I know that we had the presentation from Boswell Engineering and that we were looking at moving forward with that project. And I just really want to underscore the importance of timing that with the school schedule, because a lot of families use that bridge. And so it is very important. It is a major way for many families of getting to FN Brown in the morning. So if that's going to be out of service at any point, like if we can coordinate that in a time when school's not in session, it seems like we're missing this summer, then that would be really important. Otherwise, it really needs to be messaged to those families, and we're going to have to anticipate the traffic and safety impacts associated with that.
Sure, that project it's not currently out to bid, so there's no construction schedule. Boswell did pause their design work because it was subject to the additional financing. The recommendation was to move from bridge rehabilitation to bridge replacement. They paused their design work to make sure that they were designing the right project, and that was approved through capital budgets this year. So they are still in design. That schedule will be related to them, and I'll make sure that they put certain restrictions on construction windows so it's least impactful to schools.
Yeah, that's just going to be really important. Thank you.
Understood.
Thank you, Mr. Kraus.
For the items that have been submitted to the JIF, the 110,000 in my report does not include the 52,000 for the trailer. We're waiting to see if they will cover it and what the mechanism is. Is that 52,000 over 3 year 36 months? The Verona community at the community center, a contractor had begun all of the concrete work, replacing sidewalks and curbing. They're also constructing a mountable island where there's currently barrels as part of the new traffic pattern. Instead of a full-on island, the thought is that if emergency vehicles or bigger vehicles need to get back there, they could drive over it. Items to potentially block that for regular traffic that are being considered are planters or something similar. DPW has been in contact with a contractor for the milling and paving work. They're hoping to get it done in August, but there's a lot of paving going on, and he is trying to push them to do it before football season starts. We did meet with the Neighborhood Traffic Safety Committee chair on Friday, receive his comments on community center and a few other items. Our search for an IT director and director of community services continues. We'll be scheduling second round interviews starting next week for the director of community services. And in addition to searching for an IT director, we've also started meeting with firms that can serve as a third party, like a chief information officer. The OPEIU contract, we have sent it to PERC. We have completed their necessary forms, and we anticipate that the second payroll in September, the September 15th payroll is when the retroactive pay and new salaries will be put into place. With community services, we received the final payroll for summer playgrounds was processed. Total salary and wages was $161,000, which is $11,000 over budget. If 2020 this year, about 130 additional children were registered compared to last year. If registration is similar in 26, we'll need to increase staffing to maintain appropriate ratios. The payroll so far for the pool, it looks like we will come in somewhat on budget for salary and wages. And the adult swim tests pilot program, there were no significant reported issues. I believe there was one individual who was not happy about the pilot test on Saturday. About 20 to 30 people were in for each 15-minute period. For the New Jersey lead law, there was one comment, I believe on August 4th, from a member of the public asking if Zoom or video inspections could be done. the vendor stated that it's not allowed under the NJ lead law, and that it must be an in-person inspection. And only 2 additional properties have signed up for inspections or provided documents since October 4th. And we completed the mid-year budget checks for buildings and grounds, DPW, and community services. For salary and wage, recreation part-time appears to be running slightly above what is anticipated. And we will do a second check once the new contract for the OPEIU is put into place. On operating expenses, vehicle maintenance is running very high. The cost for parts have increased according to DPW. Senior events are high due to the costs for buses, and with more senior attendance, the amount of food that is being purchased has increased. And animal control, there have been unfortunately more deer hit this year than anticipated, and the cost for removing the carcasses is exceeding what was anticipated. In future ordinance changes, we may be proposing a change to the rent control ordinance in the near future, based on the rent control administrator's recommendations. It may be advisable to look at how the CTI increases are determined, and to provide a simpler procedure for vacancy decontrol, and the rent board attorney more flexibility in settling violations instead of having to go full rental.
Any questions, Mr. Johnson, going on with that?
You don't mind going, well, one comment about expenses, so with the cost busing is showing up seniors, that's gonna impact the STEAM program tremendously, so.
Yep.
You know, I hope that the ordinance that we're getting, that we can implement, you know, that we can vote on soon, has that accounted for. Going back to the playground program, so final expenses were $161,000.
Just for salary and wages.
Just for salary.
I haven't-
You're gonna have a full accounting for us on that?
I'm going to see, I need to see in our purchasing software how everything was tagged in recreation.
Okay.
But hopefully we can grab a full cost, if everything was tagged properly.
Yeah. I'm definitely concerned with cost pressures that in recreation and how that's impacting programming, so I know you're working through a lot of things, so that may be a follow-up conversation that we have, but I appreciate all of your hard work on that. And that's all I have, for now. Thank you.
Councilwoman Hall?
Thanks. Let's take things in reverse. Under upcoming ordinances, you had a discussion about the site work permit. And I guess I was struggling to understand what exactly is the definition of site work. You have it in quotes. And then you talk about when owners engage in site work, and you say or soil movement. So site work is not limited to soil movement. I guess I was trying to understand what exactly this would be permitting for.
It may be a typo on my report. I need to go back to the proposed ordinance, but site work is generally any soil movement or modifications to the property that owners engage in that might not require a construction or zoning permit.
Yeah, I guess if you could provide a follow-up in an email would be fine as well, because when you say like or modifications to the property, I mean that could be really, really broad. So I was just kind of curious what exactly we were looking at permitting, what's different. I agree that we do have gaps in our ordinance, especially when it comes to soil movement. I guess I was just trying to figure out what the other part of this was when we talked about site work. You know, and making sure that it's not so broad that, you know, basic landscaping or something like that gets like swooped into it. So I would appreciate having that level of clarity. But certainly the soil movement has been a gap in our ordinances. And that would be beneficial as it does create stormwater impacts for neighboring residences at times. moving to your discussion of the pool, this was number 9. You talk about the adult swim test, the adult swimming period, and the pilot program that we were implementing. And you indicate that there were approximately 20 or 30 adults that participated in each session. And then you said 1 or 2 patrons were displeased during the Saturday sessions. Were they persons that participated in the adult swim, or were they other patrons of the pool that were disappointed or displeased, I believe? Do you know?
Based on the messages I received, there were patrons not participating in the adult swim period.
And then,
Sorry,
that's helpful.
we also, the survey, the lifeguards and pool managers walk around with both the QR code and the paper responses. We haven't had a chance to go through all of them, but if I remember what the public information officer had said, it was about 100 to 150 responses per day that were received.
Okay, that's really helpful. When you do have an opportunity to have gone through them, historically, the council has also received survey results, and I really appreciate that. And I imagine that the rec committee is going to want to review those survey results as well. And historically, for rec programming and the pool surveys, the rec committee does get a copy as well, for their discussion and to inform their recommendations. For number 5, you discussed the progress on filling the community services position. Do we have like an anticipation? Are we thinking that we might be able to fill the role by October or approximately? I don't want to bind you to something. I'm just trying to get like a ballpark.
Our anticipation is to run final interviews for the final candidates the last week of this month.
Oh, wow.
We will then from that we'll review, we'll make our final recommendation and our decision for the department head. But at that point, between background checks and that individual likely providing some form of notice to their current employer, it may be October, it might be November.
Oh,
It depends on how long they
like the timeline.
Right.
Okay. But will we get notice? Like you're like, oh, we're gonna have this person starting on XYZ date or something. That'd be great. Thank you. I know that there's definitely interest in filling that position. There's a lot, as you can see from this discussion. Last but not least, under item 3, there's discussion about the field maintenance for the Lynn Drive field. And it sounds like we're having some challenges maintaining the status of the grass over there. This is really more just a comment, but I think it would be worthwhile for us to, and for the rec committee, to get updates on that experience because of the anticipated grass field for the new Everett field, and how that's going to shape out. So that's just a comment.
This was and we can get that. I can get more updates from DPW. This was a trial for organic fertilizer instead of, I guess, the stronger stuff.
The less organic. Yeah. Okay. And thank you for that. I mean, if there's any kind of report that comes out of it, that would be beneficial to review, to see the comparison. Because if it's not able to maintain the quality of the field, that's going to have to inform decisions down the road. Because it's a substantial investment in public dollars, and so you want to maintain it at high.
Questions, Mr. Cross? All right, moving on to council member comments. Deputy Mayor Mac.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Quick, just want to thank the Verona Police Fire and Rescue Squad and Cedar Grove also for National Night Out, and thank everybody in putting that together. It was very, very well attended. I thank our state representative that showed up, and I actually got a moment to talk to Prosecutor Stevens that showed up also. But I thank everyone for attending and coming out and talking to those emergency services personnel. And second and last, I'd like to thank everyone who attended the public safety building meeting last week on Zoom. We had it was very well attended, which was good to see. And I'd like to especially thank the police and fire department officials that showed up and described every room. Especially, I think 25% plus of our police force was online for 4.5 hours talking to us. So I thank them and all the presenters as well. All I have for this evening.
Thank you. Councilman Roman.
Report this evening, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilman Roman.
Muted.
I said I will waive my report this evening, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman McGrath.
Thank you, Mayor. I too want to thank everyone involved with Wednesday's very robust meeting on the neighborhood, on the emergency services complex building. It was very long, but it was really important and we got a lot of details covered. And I look forward to future conversations on the building. I too attended National Night Out. It was really a great evening, so well attended. And I want to thank the Verona Police Department, the PBA, the Cedar Grove Police Department, and our volunteer and rescue squad, the fire department, everyone, all the vendors, the businesses that participated. It really was a great evening to bring everyone together and talk about keeping our community safe and promote our very, very strong volunteerism in our communities, something that we're really proud of. I also love the fact that we share this with Cedar Grove so that we do this event. We host it every other year. I think that's a really smart approach and could be a model for other events. I too attended the Happy Gilmore movie screening. It was a lot of fun. It was fun to see Verona on the screen for a short period of time in a fun sequence, and it was a big nostalgia trip for all of us who are of a certain age. But I was really blown away with the robust response from the community. I want to thank the sponsors. I know Unico was a big sponsor, and I know the Chamber of Commerce was also there. People love the food aspect. They love the community, and I hope we can do more movie showings again, whether or not we're in them. I think it was clearly people really love gathering and coming together as a community, and it was a beautiful night. For now, that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Holland.
Thank you. I would just like to congratulate our emergency services for such a successful National Night Out. As many of my colleagues have already stated, it was a lovely night. My family had a great time being out there with everybody, and it was lovely to see such a robust kind of community event. And I thought it was particularly great to have it hosted in the Civic Center. I know that in prior years we had hosted it at the community center, but I think that this gave it a great opportunity for that additional visibility. So even though we have more space in the other location, I do think that this was really, really successful, and it gave a lot of visibility from Bloomfield Avenue. I want to thank approximately 25% of the police force for spending my birthday with me on Zoom to review the emergency services building. It was a very long night, but I think it's really important for us to be having these discussions publicly and for us to be engaging the community in those discussions. So I'm, hopeful that residents are listening to this on Zoom, but I am very well aware of the fact that it is hard to get that community engagement in late August or mid to late August. So I do want to encourage residents to consider commenting even into September. My family and I attended the Happy Gilmore screening, which was a lot of fun. I don't know if we'll be able to screen in the Civic Center all of the films that have been shot in Verona, but it was really nice that we were able to screen that one in the Civic Center. I know that the kids had a lot of fun doing that, and I do want to thank our sponsors for that. I do want to remind residents that the pool remains open, that we do have a couple more weeks left of summer before Labor Day creeps up on us. And to that end, I do want to encourage residents to participate in the Unico Labor Day Classic. I know that that's coming up and that's a great community event. And then right after that, school will start. So it's right around the corner, but let's enjoy these last few days of summer. And please make sure you do so. You celebrate the summer in a safe and happy way. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Do regret not mentioning the I have found out, but I won't repeat everybody's thanks, but I did want to recognize this as County Sheriff Department were there. And Under Sheriff Fitz, Under is that's his first name, but last name is Piculo was there with all the sheriff's equipment. So it was nice to see one of the executives of the Sheriff's Department with us as well, which will help us out a lot. All right, being that we're done with that, we want to move to public comments on any item. Madam Assistant to the Municipal Clerk, would you please read the public participation statements?
Anyone from the public wishing to speak on any matter, if you are attending via Zoom, raise your hand by pressing the raise hand button on your monitor. If you are dialing in by phone, press *9. And if you are attending in person, raise your hand to be acknowledged before approaching the lectern. Once recognized, clearly state only your name and township of residence for the record. You are not required to provide your street address. However, if you do, please note that these meeting recordings are public record and addresses will not be redacted for any purpose. You will have 4 minutes to address the council. There will be no cross dialogue during this public portion. After everyone wishing to speak has been heard, the board may address your comments and/or questions.
Thank you. Anybody in the room? No? Anybody on Zoom? Okay, seeing none. Full public comment. We're moving on to the consent agenda, which includes one set of minutes and 11 resolutions. Does anybody need to remove anything from the calendar? Hearing none, would somebody please move the consent agenda? So moved. Motion made by the deputy mayor. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second is made by Councilwoman McGrath. This time I'll open for public comments on the consent agenda items only. Same public comment statement applies. So we are limited to discussion on these items. No public comments. I close public comments. Any council discussion on the consent agenda?
One question. On L6, we got another one of these treasure tree removals. I actually have 2 questions. The one that we removed from our last meeting, the tree was removed prior to the approval. Does that tree company, are there any ramifications for removing it before they were issued the permits? And secondly, with this and pertaining to the last week's or 2 weeks ago, they are subject to tree replacement according to our ordinance, correct? Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
As for the tree that was removed prior to the permit, the tree that was removed prior to the permit being issued, there was confusion when one of the DPW employees went to view the tree. He agreed with the arborist and the tree company that it posed a hazard, and the company removed it without waiting for the permit. Obviously, that was not the appropriate steps. They've been issued notice from zoning that this can no longer happen, that they must follow the ordinance, and there will be ramifications if there are future deviations from.
So they received a warning.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any further comments? Yes, someone would acknowledge.
With regard to the contract for security at the field, have there been incidents or is this just preventative?
The security, which,
The cameras.
that's, those are, combination.
Yeah.
Those are combination construction cameras and security cameras. So they will serve both as security and they'll track the construction progress. But there have not been incidents that we've been made aware of. They are preventative and for liability reasons for during construction.
Okay. And for L3, there's the acquisition of a police rated vehicle for daily operations. Is this replacing an existing vehicle or is this increasing the fleet?
I can get you, I don't have that answer in front of me right now. I do believe it is for replacing age vehicles in the fleet that are finding themselves out of service for the police department and being handed down to other departments. I can confirm that with you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Assistant to the clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yeah.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Mayor, resolutions L1 through L11 are approved by a vote of 5-0 and will be numbered 2025-197 through and including 207.
Thank you. We have no agenda this evening. There's new unfinished business. We have Mr. Sullivan has some communication about timelines for discussion on public safety building. Mr. Sullivan, would you like to go over that now?
Sure, thank you. What I communicated, I sent out to the council by email shortly before the meeting tonight, was what I believe was a summary of the items that were requested from the special meeting Wednesday evening. What I would ask from the council is to review that list. Let me know if I'm missing anything or if there are any clarifications on the items that I've listed that need additional information. If you could provide those comments to me by the end of this week, what I'll look to do is then finalize that list by the beginning of next week. I will work with the team moving forward to provide materials responsive to those requested items by the week of September 22nd. It'll provide me and solutions architecture, police department, fire department 4 weeks to provide materials responsive to those requested items, which would then present us with an opportunity to discuss the project again on October 6th. From there, based upon feedback, the next steps would be to advance the project into final design for the building and for the site. And that would, there would be really 3 actions that the council would be asked to take at the point that they are comfortable to do so. It would be the introduction of a bond ordinance to cover those design costs and for both the building and the site. Would be authorization of the contract for the final design of the building and the site, and then an authorization and endorsement of the ECIA, which will ultimately be the long-term financing mechanism for this project. But it would be an endorsement of the ECIA submitting an application to the local finance board for this project. At whatever point that the council is comfortable with moving forward with that, it would then move into final design, and then approximately 6 months later is when the ECIA has expected that it would take them to work through local finance board and final approvals, at which point the council would need to consider a final lease agreement, which would incorporate that preliminary the bond ordinance that funded the preliminary expenses for the design and engineering, plus all the remaining project costs, which include site preparation, building construction, the furnishing, and the specialized equipment of the building itself. But that would come at a point when the project is further along in design and even potentially at the point when it is out to bid. But the ECIA confirmed initially that we can do their local finance board application in parallel with the design of the project. So, and they would allow us to pull those preliminary design costs into that full ECIA agreement at that point 6 months later. So that's the proposed schedule that at this point, the next steps would be to finalize the list of requested items from the council. And it will then be up to myself and the rest of our team to provide materials responsive to the council's request.
Mr. Sullivan, any questions, Mr. Sullivan? Councilwoman.
Thank you. It occurred to me after the meeting, and this isn't really so much a question for Mr. O'Sullivan as it is a discussion item. What we didn't actually talk about as part of this very lengthy discussion on Wednesday was really about where the building sits. I know we got into a little bit about turn radiuses, but we didn't really talk about setbacks and kind of the view and the height of the building from the resident, the neighborhood impact. So I wonder if we could have a short public follow-up conversation on September 8th with Mr. Messinio and specifically publicize it to the neighborhood and the residents to give them a chance to come in person and talk and ask all of their questions that they have about what they're going to be looking at. So we did a very thorough job talking about each room and what the requirements were for our volunteer and paid emergency services staff and volunteers, but we didn't actually cover a lot on, and it was kind of late in the conversation on the neighborhood impact. And I think we need to give them a chance to ask those questions. So I know we're layering a lot on September 8th, but I think given this timeline and its importance.
Yeah, I can check with Mr. Messinio's availability for that meeting. He's previously provided those in presentation materials, so I don't think it's a matter of him preparing materials. It's just a matter of making sure he's available, but we can certainly see if he's available, and if he is, then we can add that to the agenda for the September 8th meeting.
Well, I think the last time the neighborhood saw that impact, it was a year ago in June. So in the June meeting, when he came back with a new design without the rescue squad on it, and then the design may have gotten slightly modified between June and what we saw last week, I don't think the public has had a real chance to ask their questions. And it would give us a chance to circle back with members of the neighborhood and since so many were on vacation, it would give them a chance to come in. Face to face, should they choose, or catch it on Zoom.
I'll try to get his availability, and if he is available, we'll schedule for the 8th, and if he's not, then we can have that be part of the discussion in October. But I'll get him lined up for another discussion on.
Thank you.
Councilman Holland?
I would just note, for example, we do get materials kind of late at times, so I do appreciate that you're providing the 4-week window between us providing our comments and September 22nd. But I think it's going to be really important for the public to get that information timely if we are going to be having discussions in October about it further. So what I noticed earlier today even is that the presentation that we received minutes before the meeting on Wednesday is still not posted on the website. The Zoom is posted on the website, but not the actual concept plan and Frank's slide deck. So I think that would be really helpful to have that posted on the website. And I think it's really going to be important for community engagement to make sure that whatever materials we are receiving in late September are timely posted so that residents have that opportunity for feedback. I also think that voting on the bond ordinances on October 20th may be somewhat aggressive if we're getting additional input from Frank and the community. So it may be more realistic to have a November timeframe. But but I think that this is kind of fluid, and so I would welcome an opportunity to see that information that I requested, some of that I requested months ago. Before I have further thoughts on continuing like the timeline. But I think September 22nd, if we can get all of those materials and it can also be made available to the public, would be very positive.
I just, please, to council members, make sure that your requests are in writing for anything that's not on Kevin's list. Verbal requests often get lost, or are not specific, so please make sure that is emailed to Kevin. It would be on their own fault if we don't have the information that we are looking for the October meeting. I just want to put this out there that this is a reminder for all of us as far as the timeline. This building will take 3 years to build, and our facilities will be still a huge problem for those 3 years. So we need to keep in mind that the needs will continue to exist and just go on longer and longer. So I appreciate Councilman Holland's comment on Mr. Sullivan's timeline, but at this point it does seem to make sense to not delay, because the issues are gonna still be there. I mean, we take care of this as soon as we can, once our deliberations and questions have been answered. All right, at this time, I'll open for public comments on any item. Any member of the public wishes to discuss. Say public comment statement 5. Hearing none, close public comment. We have previously made a passed resolution going to executive session. Will there be any public comment or any action?
No.
Being said, we'll see you all on September 8th.